marketing mogul and creative producer, Ed Purnell. Welcome to TCC Snap. How are you?
Living the dream, mate, as always.
You're always living the dream.
Yeah, it might not always be my dream, but I'm living somebody's dream at some point, right? We all are.
Okay, well, let's start there. I was gonna tap into your origin story, which we will come to, but let's talk about living the dream.
Yeah.
Um, when you say somebody else's dream, but you work for yourself, so surely it's your dream.
Yeah, but I expect somebody's dreaming about me somewhere.
I dream about you most days, Ed.
Oh
Um,
dear. Have you ever had it where someone talks to you and says, I had a weird dream about you the other day? Have you ever had that?
I'm not. I can't say I have. No, I don't think so. Um,
Mm.
why?
It's
Obviously
very
you
odd.
have. Obviously you've
Yeah,
had.
it's very odd sitting there listening to that when it's not your wife or your partner or whatever.
Yeah.
It's quite odd. Like if you're at work and someone says, "I had a dream about you the other day," you're like, "Oh God, this is odd." And then you hear the story and what you did, and you're just like, "That's how you
Well,
think about me." Nice.
well, dreams are the strangest thing, aren't they?
Yeah, they sure are.
Do you have? I mean, we've gone way off topic, way early, but do you have very? Do you remember your dreams?
Uh, y- yes, I know. I've got dreams that I can remember from when I was a child.
What?
Um, yeah. So there was one. But I had a lot of problems with my ears when I was younger, in particularly my left ear, and the medication that I had was particularly strong and gave me nightmares. And
Right.
this one dream was related to is very closely related to the Red Riding Hood story. So in my dream, I've woken up and gone downstairs to find a wolf man who's just eaten my sister, put my mum in the washing machine, and I've come along with a knife, cut his stomach open, and my
Hmm.
sister's jumped out and then my mum's just still going around in the washing machine. And I told my mum this story, and she said, "Why didn't you let me out the washing machine?" I was like, "I don't know,
Yeah.
eight."
Yeah. I'm 8, and it was a dream.
Yeah, but I remember that one till now, and another one where a cow fell over onto my tent and squashed me to death, or
Yeah.
nearly to death. I
Okay.
remember those ones. Yeah.
I've got numbers of brilliant therapists, mate. Seemingly dreams, they're a window into your soul, aren't they? So, I'm sure I can
So,
refer on.
so I'm taking this off topic, aren't I? Like with the,
No, well, it's kind of my fault, isn't it? So I took
I
it over.
mean, depends. You didn't really tell me what the topic was, so I'm happy to
Exactly,
just keep
exactly.
rambling, mate.
Yeah. I would be very surprised if this made it into the podcast. No, I'm joking. It will. Um, but let's get on to topic. So just before coming on, I was saying that we've worked together. You're part of TCC. We've worked together on various events, and I termed you a creative producer because you're very good at sort of bringing people together, managing the whole thing. But let's start with the franchise, which is your business now. For the people that know nothing about it, or nothing about you in terms of where you started, give us the cliff notes of your origin story to bring us back to where we are now in your lucid dreams.
But for the listeners, sorry, I'm laughing over the Ben there. But beforehand, I said to him it's a long story, and that's why he's trying to kind of hem me in by saying cliff notes. uh, yeah, so my accountant set up the limited company, and off we went. That's the cliff notes. But
Amazing. We're trying to write off some debt or something.
no, no. So I guess there is a little bit of a story and a journey to it, but to shortcut that a bit, um, so I've changed career twice. I put up marquees for a living for 8 years. I then moved into recruitment, both locally and then internationally, and I did that for 10 years. And then I sat down and properly went, well, what is it I want to do with my life actually? And realized that really I should be doing something that was creative. I always enjoyed doing stuff creatively when I was younger, but kind of lost that over the 18 years of drinking, swinging sledgehammers, playing football, and bashing the phones as was the is it raison d'etre? Is that the right word to say?
Raison
But anyway,
d'etre. Yeah.
yeah,
I
it's
don't know
getting a
what it
bit fancy
means,
there.
but I've heard it. Yeah.
The modus, yeah,
Operandi. This is so
There's
well.
some fancy way to say it as the thing that you're supposed to do in recruitment. They
Your
make you
MO,
just
your
show
MO.
people.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that'll do. Yeah. Um, but yes, I preferred to. I should have always been doing something creative. And to change those careers and get me into a creative role, it took about 3.5 years in total of trying to change career.
Mm.
And so the company that I joined was a franchise company. I joined them as their franchise recruitment marketing coordinator. Basically, did everything for them within franchise recruitment. So that's if you imagine an organization like McDonald's, but perhaps not quite as big. I was helping them to find um, franchisees to invest in a franchise with the brand I was with. They were called expense reduction analysts, so not the sexiest sounding of businesses, but actually it was really fun and interesting once you got into it. A lot of international travel and stuff like that involved. And my role was to look at everything marketing for the EMEA region, so Europe, Middle East, and Africa. Developing new territories and helping the existing franchise recruiters, so the salespeople, to have all the materials they needed. That soon kind of moved into me doing some of those calls, but basically I learned a lot. But the main thing that I learned was there's this opportunity called franchising, and then there's other companies out there like It's Easy Websites, who are now a client of mine, who for £5,000 to £10,000, if you invest in that, and you can get grants from governments and places like that, I could have got into some creative business, as an account manager, website consultant, whatever you want to call it, um, working with small businesses to help them set up their own, decent websites, and that could be my business. I could have got into that world a lot quicker. So it annoys me that that was a thing that I never heard of, and I always thought franchising was a scam, or
Mm.
McDonald's, can't afford it, or it's too dodgy. But realizing that actually there's these great opportunities out there annoyed me. So I started a podcast called The Disenfranchised to educate the people that were disenfranchised with employment about franchising as an opportunity. So I interviewed lots of founders, franchisees, and suppliers from the franchising industry, got to know them all really well. And a couple of things happen when you do that. So having a podcast and interviewing people regularly. One, I learned a lot from them because these are all successful business owners, and I just took on board everything they were saying all the time and kind of figured out, okay, there is some process, there is a structure, there's an idea behind a lot of this. You also, when you surround, yeah, and I guess that's part of it. When you surround yourself with these people, it makes it easier for you to become one of those people. So a business owner, if you see what I mean. So it closed the gap, it shortened the leap. But also, and this is the thing I don't always openly admit all the time, but I was speaking to some of them, going, "How on earth are you successful?" I'm sitting here scratching for a living as an employee. Like, how comes I can't do it?
What, as in you were the answers they were giving, or how they came across, or their intelligence? What was it that you thought I'm better than you or I could be as successful as you?
Yeah, it sounds bad, but in some ways, I was thinking, you know, nothing about business. I know more than you do,
Yeah.
and it's not because I'm better than them or smarter or anything like that. It's just I actually know more about this sales and marketing thing than you do.
Mm.
Yet somehow you've got this successful business, and that's of course because being good at sales doesn't equal success, right? There's a lot of other things as a business owner you go through. It's overcome loneliness, rejection, trying to work out what your pricing should look like, what your packages should actually be, what your ideal client is, all of this stuff, and then just resilience and the ability to work hard. It's, once you kind of put all those bits together and having the knowledge, like I was saying to you beforehand as well, like I don't know what half the terminology in the industry is, or what I'm supposed to be doing half the time, making it up as I go along. So yeah, but you don't. But when you're hanging around these people a lot, you kind of think actually I could do it as well as them. But I've now got a different kind of respect for them, realizing that actually they've worked really hard and they've figured things out as they've gone along and done really well. Like it's impressive that they've got to the point where they're able to replicate their model. Um, so yeah, just to finish off the why I started the franchise then. So that was part of the reason. And then I decided that my core why could be better um, amplified by helping franchisors with their franchise recruitment. So to help them reach more people, to help more people learn about franchising as an opportunity. So that's still my core why, and that's why I work within the franchising industry. It's to help other people find it as an opportunity. It's not right for everyone, but I think everyone should be aware of what it means, what it is as a
Mm.
model.
And so a couple of things. So the creative itch that you were trying to scratch years ago was itch by the podcast, but then obviously the franchising world came into you. What what scratches your itch nowadays in terms of what you do? Is it totally sort of business orientated, or do you have that creative side of you that you sort of can access if needed, depending on the work that you're doing with clients?
So I guess it's sometimes an ongoing battle for me. So um, I I like to have multiple things going on at one time, and I like variety in my life.
Yeah,
And so if I was to just do strategy, planning, developing marketing strategies or sales processes, whatever that is, wherever that may be, that's good. But if I do that repetitively, I'll get bored and
yeah,
frustrated and need an out. So the other thing that I quite enjoy doing and I have done a lot of is editing. So editing videos. There's a project for an award ceremony that I do every year where they want a comedy skit shown at their awards evening to 400 or 500 people, and uh, that in particular is really enjoyable because we get to do silly versions of this. Is this the way to Amarillo? We've just done franchising's got talent, but like a condensed into a 5 minute video. So there was about 20 people on the day that we had to film at a theatre, and coordinating all of that was chaos. But when you come into the edit, it's just where you can get creative and have fun, and they're pretty good at just letting me get on with it. And
mm,
so I sit there for hours just listening through sound effects, and the amount of people cheering that I've listened to this year has been ridiculous
yeah,
to try and add variety to the 5 minutes, So,
yeah.
um, yeah, I guess that's it. It's strategic planning, marketing strategies, but also on certain projects, I'll get my hands stuck into creating the conference highlights video or
Mm,
fun skits or maybe a franchisee interview or something. So editing wise on videos is something I do a lot of. I'm writing, I guess, as well. So I
okay,
write I'm a contributing writer to Elite Franchise magazine,
nice.
write a lot of social media posts and all that sort of stuff as
Yeah,
well.
yeah.
Quite
So
enjoy
it's
it.
quite varied. Yeah, I think it's quite nice. Like you say, it's quite nice doing it if you're doing bits and pieces of things. Because, for instance, I've been editing videos all week. Now, tomorrow's going to come and I'm doing some more, which is I'm grateful in terms of I've got videos to edit. However, it does become a chore because you're just doing it over and over and over again.
Yeah.
So sort of so a job that would be slightly different would be, oh, this is really nice. Like the novelty hasn't worn off. So doing bits and pieces must be quite nice for you.
But I had you down as a somebody who just can churn through the work like that and just head down almost it doesn't impact you, you just deliver. Do you know what I mean? Like that's the impression I get from you. So is that slightly different? Do you still get bored with editing? Not that it's a bad job, but when it's a 5 day edit or something like
Yeah,
that, it's
yeah. Well, it's a good question. I gone are the days where I can edit for 8 to 12 hours straight. Now I'm all about the chunking, and I'm all about sort of 1.5 to 2 hours max, but doing nothing else. Because I would find that if emails come in or WhatsApp pings off or whatever, it takes me out of it, and then I can get more done in 2 hours and say 6 hours if I'm just focusing on that. So I've just got a bit better at, and I'm a bit quicker, I think, at, my processes and things like that. So yeah,
Yeah.
I think as I've got older, my attention's got worse.
I know,
yeah, so I think I need to.
I know what you mean with the editing. So I would set out and say, right, I've got a whole day to edit something,
Yeah.
and the first half of the day I'll probably do it in half hour, an hour chunks because I just stretch my legs, go and get another coffee, and then I'll just quickly do that, and then I find the period between 2 and 6 o'clock is where I will just sit for 4 hours and edit something
Wow.
straight because
Yeah.
I can I seem to have the right level of energy. Just that I don't like using this word because people are bounding it around a lot, but just hyper focus on it. And in particular, if it's something that I really enjoy, that will like if it's
Yeah.
allowing me to do some creative transitions and different shots or edit things into it to add layers to what's going on, that's great. But if it's just a talking head video and
Yeah.
that's all it is, it's a bit
I
I
I
find that one boring.
Yeah, I think there's something, and I wanted to talk about pricing actually, because you mentioned it in terms of what makes a successful business when you were um, thinking about, well, you were interviewing these people, and from an outsider looking in, you're saying, well, how are these guys successful? How are these people successful? And then you actually got into the weeds and you think, oh, that's why, because they've obviously, maybe they're not coming across perfectly here, but they've obviously done a lot right. And you do mention pricing. But just hopping back to the editing, I find that if I've priced a job correctly, the edit is a lot more enjoyable because I'm not looking at the clock. I know I've priced in enough time to get creative and not think I've got to get this done and then on to the next, on to the next. So
It's a good
that's a
point.
segue, isn't it? Pricing. How did, especially because of how varied your work is, how on earth do you price that? Do you price it? Did you start per hour? Did you start project? Have you flip-flop between the two? And what have you landed on now? And is it working?
So I started off not having a clue what I was doing. Well, no, I did. I had a very clear idea of what I wanted to do, but it's not what other people wanted me to be doing.
Okay.
So it was a directory actually. I wanted to tackle the problem I saw in the industry, which was the directories not helping franchisors to create the right content to be able to attract the right people or go beyond the franchising bubble that's there. The problem was everyone kind of liked the idea, but they didn't like the cost of that. And so in the end, they were just saying, well, could you just create me a podcast or help me edit a podcast? Sure. Could you do some strategy work for me? Sure. Could I just have an hour of your time? So I ended up going a bit broad and spread myself thin. And when that happens, it becomes difficult to know what to sell. So when I'm trying to market myself or talk to people, it's like, well, I do some franchise recruitment stuff. Okay, what specifically? Well, depends
How
what you
long you
want.
got?
I, and that worked to some degree, but it was not great. And then I'd spend a lot of time sitting there pricing, and it just became a bit of a pain. So then the business evolved to become more of a strategy first. So I had some clear pricing around what the strategy would look like. So 1 hour sessions are £250. You could buy three of them for 600. Thank you, Jody, for the idea.
Another
So I did a
TCC,
session with
another TCC member, Jodes. He's coming on the
Jody
podcast
Newman.
soon.
Yeah, she helped me to come up with that as an idea, and then I also developed a um, audit and strategy day session as well, which is you know the price actually started at 1,200. It's now up to 2,750, and people will pay for it because it is that valuable. I heavily undervalued myself at the beginning, so I had to build that up to a price that now is people don't balk at it, they accept it, see the value in it. Not everyone can afford it, but then that's fine. They're not right for me. They could always
Mm.
look at the 1 hour sessions, right? Or 3 hour sessions. And so that kind of worked until the LLMs, ChatGPT and Claude came about, and not a lot of people needed, that strategy because they
The
could just chat to
testing.
them.
Okay. Okay.
So then I've gone
So,
through this kind of
sorry to interrupt. When you're
sure.
talking about ChatGPT and the LLMs sort of coming kind of mainstream and people thinking, "Oh, I'll just chat to my mate Claude." Um, what timeline are we looking at? Was this a year ago, 18 months? When did you kind of have to pivot?
A year ago,
Okay.
and I wouldn't say I've pivoted. What I've done is evolved. So I was still doing the creative stuff. So the editing was having shoot days and videos and things like that. But I've it was yeah, probably about 9 months ago now. It all of a sudden clicked that I needed to do something where the hands-on side of thing was still at the core of what we were doing, because anything else can be pretty much done by ChatGPT.
Right.
The problem is, though, when people get those strategies, unless they've got the resources and know how to piece it all together, that's the challenge. So then I realized, well, actually, that's something I'm quite good at. So although I don't have a camera and I'm not the camera person going out there physically in the world, the bit that ChatGPT can't do or Claude can't do, it can't hold a camera. I can, with my relationships, bring those people on board to help me to deliver projects, and I'm the oil in the engine, so to speak, so helping everything to work smoothly.
Mm.
Yes, I'll use Claude and that to help develop the strategies, but I'm sense checking it because I know what's going to work, what isn't for everybody, and then making sure everything runs smoothly. So I've I kind of developed a package then that incorporated everything. So I needed a recurring revenue model because I was having big peaks and troughs.
Okay.
And so I created something called the franchise trust engine. I was speaking to somebody in Australia about what they were doing, which is very similar to what I wanted to achieve, and realized that they were calling it the trust engine. I've just trademarked it as the franchise trust engine because I could see that was going to come over to the UK at some point. So the structure now is everything included, but it's paid monthly. So audit, strategy, and content delivery, both video, written, and visual, static imagery. They get 5 posts a week. They get a blog a month. They get
Bloody
content for
hell.
their newsletters. They get photography. They get videography. And they get their YouTube channel started to built out. So
Okay.
I just went and thought I can do all this stuff. Let's just herd it together in one
Mm.
big package that will actually solve a problem for franchisors. The only problem at that point was I did not have a clear idea as to what that problem was. I kind of knew it, but I didn't brand it. And what I got to in writing a webinar, so I decided to do a launch webinar, and I realized that if I just tell people about what the product is, they're going to not bother turning up. If I talk about the problem first, they will be interested and want to learn how to solve that problem. And then, by the way, here's one option. You can get content creator and employ them, but here's the headaches you might get. You can do it yourself, but these are the challenges, or you can outsource. Oh, by the way, one outsourcing solution is my new package, right? It all made sense, but when trying to write that webinar and doing all the research to kind of add credence to what that problem was, I I realized that trust was really important, and actually that connected really well with me because all the AI content that's out there, all of the fake videos and stuff like that, people lose trust a little bit, especially when somebody's just putting sales messages out there. And I realized that actually that's what it's all about. It's kind of raging against the AI machine and saying, trust, here's how you trust us by watching all of this content repeatedly that we're consistently putting out there. We're not hiding, we're telling you everything. And I've labeled and branded it the trust gap. And that now has given me something to rally against in all of my marketing messaging, in all of my content I put out there. I can mention the trust gap as the problem in the industry, and here's one way you can solve it. Here's another thing that you can do. If you're going to create content to solve the trust gap, here's what you could do. So I could start to educate people on the trust gap. And so I'm on a mission in the franchising industry to let people know what the trust gap is. So they're scrabbling around trying to find how to close the trust gap. And of course, my solution hopefully becomes the shortest path to success. Um, so has it been successful? I've launched it about a month and a half ago.
Okay.
I have one client on board. I've got two or three in the pipeline. The monthly packages are roughly 2,500 per month to
Yeah.
give you an idea. So it's yet to be proven that I'm 100% right, but I think it makes sense, and it's given me energy and drive to be able to go out there and sell it. Rather than going, I could do a podcast or maybe a video. I've
Mm,
now got a problem to rally against and a package that solves it. Of course, if I speak to someone and they can't afford that package, and we still see value in working with each other, I've got backup things in the packages in the background, so we could do a one day where we're capturing content, video, and photography for them, but that will be priced on a case by case basis. Um, or yeah, strategy. I've already got those packages ready to go. So
mm.
sorry, I went on a rant and a ramble, but hopefully that all kind of tied in and made sense.
It made perfect sense. There's so much there. We're not going to have enough time today to take a deep dive because there's so much there that I love. And I suppose to sum it up, what I think you've done really well, and it will be fascinating to see the next year or so. Um, but I love the term, I've got a problem, or I've identified a problem, and now I've got a package to solve that problem. A problem and a package. That's for me, like selfishly, that's amazing because I love sort of having some clarity in business. And if all your marketing and if everything outbound that you do has that through line and has that clarity, that must be kind of liberating for you. An absolute worst case, um, if if it doesn't work, which I'm sure it will, but if it doesn't, you would have learned so much doing the process anyway that would inform what you do next in business. So it's never wasted, is it?
No, I look. It's taken me 4 years to lay it. It's not knowing the problem. I've seen various different problems
Mm,
that we sort of try and fix, but it's given it a label, and that's one thing I've realized. A lot of those keynote speakers I see, you see that they focus in on this is the problem, and they will give it a name of some sort. And now I can't think of anything off the top of my head, but there is, what's his name? Daniel Priestley becoming the key person of influence.
mm,
Do you know what I mean? That's his strap line that he uses. It's to be successful in business, you need, yeah. Every industry revolves around key people of influence.
yeah.
Here's how you do it.
Okay. Yeah.
The
Yeah.
biggest issue in the franchising industry is nobody trusts it. There is a trust gap.
Yeah. 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 Makes sense.
Here's how you fix it with the trust engine, the
And
franchise
and
trust
I
engine.
suppose if people are listening and watching to this in their own industry, it's quite probably a really good exercise to undertake to think what is the biggest problem for my customers and do a really deep dive on that and come up with a strategy around that.
Yeah.
Because you always hear, that's why businesses are around. They solve problems. So really, um, yeah, doing a deep dive around that could be quite valuable for people, I think.
Do you know what problem your business solves?
So it's yes, but having this conversation and a package that I'm going to be releasing quite soon, this is really, really relevant. So selfishly, it's been a brilliant conversation because I've got some stuff. I've got some real clarity now. So that's great. So thank you, Ed. This wasn't planned. But yeah,
I'll
so with
send the
that with
invoice.
that with that package, I really can focus on the problem, and that is my marketing strategy when I'm talking to people about it. So, yeah, maybe offline we can like talk about it because we got to wrap up quite soon. But yeah, yeah. It's I think that anybody listening and watching, yeah, that's could be a good exercise to do after this episode, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean,
Hmm.
I don't know about you, but it's always a journey, isn't it? I would imagine that I've
Yeah.
not perfected everything at all. Um, I've got a methodology as well. I didn't mention that. Everyone seems to have a 5-step methodology. Put that down, and it seems to have had credence,
Okay.
like to what I'm doing. It's no different to kind of stuff I did before. It's just now saying these are the 5 steps we follow.
Yeah. But
It's not
but but it helps, I presume, the customers to really know what they're getting for the money, rather than, this airy fairy project fee that could mean anything. This is exactly what you're going to get. These are deliverables. This is the price, and also what you said about. But if there is scope that you can't afford that or it's not quite right, I've got these skills as well. So It's never a hard no, is it? I presume you need to sort of pop that into the conversation at some point.
It's this. So the most important thing in marketing and sales and communication. And by the way, I think communication is the greatest skill to develop and evolve for yourself, because as long as there's other humans, the better you communicate, the more successful you'll be. I'm still on a journey trying to get better and improve on that. But one of the key things around communication is listen first and then share what you're able to offer them as a solution. You know, if you're trying to help them solve a problem. So if if I was to sort of join a call with you and just start selling to you, you'll probably close up pretty quickly and go,
Mm,
"Oh, yeah, okay, yeah, I see where you're going with this." If I just ask you loads and loads of questions and really try and identify what your challenges are, if it doesn't fit into my major package or a core package, like I know that you've not got enough of a budget for that, maybe, or actually you've already done half of it, I might touch on the package and say, well, look, our flagship product is this because it's a branded piece that they might then be able to tell somebody else about. But I think I can actually deliver a scaled down version of it. So what we do is we still go through the 5-step process, but actually the deliverables are a little bit lower, or
mm,
maybe we don't do so much on the editing side. So I can cut the costs there and bring it down that way, and then turn it into maybe a £1,500 a month
yeah.
project or something like that. Or if it's literally, I can see you just need a video day. I'm hearing you. You just need 3 videos created. Well, let's do that then.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't have to be. You don't have to force on them the flagship product, the main product you're trying to sell,
Mm,
and you shouldn't. You should listen to what they need, and if you can solve that problem and you want to solve that problem, because not every you don't want to solve everybody's problems, because otherwise you spread yourself too thin and go wild like I did,
yeah. Yeah.
running around trying to not knowing who you were. So
Yeah.
anyway, I could talk about it for
Yeah,
hours.
well,
And
maybe we'll do a part
I,
two down the road, maybe, Ed, because this has been awesome. So yeah, thank you so much for taking the time out on a Wednesday afternoon to have a chat.
people weren't expecting this after the dreamy talk at the beginning, were they?